She is very calculating and very ruthless and very self-promoting, but she's taken on more in the end than she can chew.
It looks like Harry and Meghan have been pushed into a decision that caught almost everyone off guard. After months of building speculation about Meghan finally making her long-anticipated return to British soil, the trip has reportedly been called off. This was clearly not how either of them wanted things to go. This was supposed to be Meghan's grand comeback moment, a carefully timed reappearance on a stage that once defined her public life. Instead, something shifted dramatically behind the scenes and completely rewrote the plan. Royal author Tom Bower has reportedly uncovered exactly why, and the reason is anything but flattering. Here's what we know. The Invictus Games are locked in for Birmingham, with rehearsals already scheduled for July. As the founder of the Games, Harry has no realistic choice but to be present. Meghan was also reportedly planning to accompany him, which would have marked her first return to British soil in 4 years. But that decision has now changed entirely.
I think that's what the Invictus Games, which is this very splendid competition for wounded servicemen, is going to start in Birmingham next year, but there's a rehearsal later in the summer. And Harry is determined to come, and if he could, he'd bring Meghan and somehow work his way back in so that they have status.
And of course, the trip was never simply about the Invictus Games. It also included plans to visit Princess Diana's grave, which lined up with considerable media coverage perfectly. On paper, the gesture appeared touching and deeply personal. In reality, the public wasn't particularly convinced by the optics. It felt less like genuine sentiment and more like a carefully timed visual moment designed to generate the right kind of headlines at the right time.
There's the rest. So I think that they're running out of money. I mean, I've conservatively put their annual expenditure at $3 million, but for that they'd have to earn $4 or $5 million. And they're running out of money because they run out of people to interest to buy their story. And that's why I think in the end, they'll be desperate to come back to Britain to revalidate and reconcile with the royal family, which in the end will be the only way they might be able to save themselves. But I think that's a remote possibility.
However, after every consideration had been weighed, Harry has reportedly decided not to bring Meghan and the children with him to the UK. And Tom Bower has revealed the specific reason behind that sudden shift in planning. According to Bower, the excitement Harry felt about returning to the United Kingdom caused him to overlook one critical issue that has been unresolved and hanging over him for years: security. For a significant period now, Prince Harry has been pushing for fully taxpayer-funded security for himself and his family whenever they visit Britain.
A shocking headline on the front page of the Mail on Sunday: dismay for the King as Harry says he may not bring Meghan and the kids back to the UK.
So, when trip preparations began in earnest, he once again submitted a formal request for protective arrangements through the appropriate channels. Reports indicate that the Royal and VYP Executive Committee, known as RAVEC, communicated that they required time to fully assess the situation before issuing any final determination. Operating on the assumption that a positive outcome was coming, Harry and his family began making concrete travel preparations. Then, just days before the planned departure, the security request was denied yet again. The same wall he has hit repeatedly. Harry has stated consistently and publicly that he will not bring Meghan and the children to the United Kingdom unless they receive a protection level equivalent to that provided to working members of the royal family, citing ongoing and credible security threats that he believes emerged directly from the circumstances of their departure from royal duties. Although Harry challenged the original decision that stripped him of automatic security protection back in 2020, he ultimately lost that legal case, which means that if he wants that level of coverage during UK visits, the financial responsibility falls entirely on him personally.
Absolutely. I mean, the cost of living for them is enormous. I mean, the security alone, which they feel they need, must cost between $1.5 and $2 million a year.
And given the reported state of their finances following multiple commercial disappointments, that is not a straightforward calculation. As a result, Harry has reportedly been reassessing the entire situation from multiple angles simultaneously, weighing whether bringing his family to Britain without the security level he insists they require is a risk worth taking, or whether leaving Meghan and the children safely in California is the more responsible choice. It appears he has made his decision, and the growing consensus points firmly toward Meghan and the children staying behind. According to Tom Bauer, the underlying tensions within the royal family remain entirely unresolved beneath the surface. Harry remains at serious odds with his older brother Prince William, and William is reportedly still deeply affected by everything that has unfolded over the past several years. Meghan has been widely viewed, including by people close to the institution, as a central contributing factor to the breakdown in the relationship between the brothers.
Prince Harry and Meghan could be staying at Althorp House, Princess Diana's ancestral estate in West Northamptonshire. I feel very British. They're going to be staying in West Northamptonshire, having high tea and crumpets and scones. The estate's website notes that it will be closed to visitors next month, prompting speculation that Harry and his family could visit or even stay there during the family trip. Now, this is where Princess Diana is buried, and with the family's visit falling shortly after her birthday, this could make sense. Her birthday is on July 1st.
That perception has not faded with time. It has, if anything, solidified into something more entrenched and harder to shift through any single gesture or visit. That's precisely the corner they find themselves backed into. After being denied taxpayer-funded security, Harry faces an impossible-looking choice. If he brings Meghan to the UK without the protection arrangements he has publicly demanded, he would be directly contradicting his own stated position and handing critics the argument that the entire security dispute was less about genuine safety concerns and more about leverage or status. The credibility of his position would be significantly damaged by the contradiction. It would prove that the years of legal battles, public statements, and pointed interviews were ultimately negotiable when circumstances changed, which is not the message Harry has spent years trying to send.
But with Harry previously stating that his wife and children are not safe in Britain, he's backed himself into a really awkward corner here. But you're absolutely right. It would be catastrophic if anything happened to Harry and Meghan while they were visiting the UK.
Additionally, there are reportedly senior members of royal household staff who remain on genuinely poor terms with Meghan. Walking into that environment without the security arrangements, the official royal status, or the institutional goodwill that once accompanied her presence in Britain would be a remarkably difficult experience to navigate. Not because anyone would cause her direct harm, but because the reception she would encounter would be far colder and more uncomfortable than anything resembling the welcome a member of the royal family would normally experience. Many people within royal circles continue to associate Meghan with the workplace conduct allegations that surfaced during her time as a working royal. They believe she showed limited willingness to work within the traditions and established structure of the institution. Those feelings have not been addressed or resolved through any formal process, and a return visit now could tear open old wounds that have barely started to scar over.
That's why I trust the process. Ravik, who did deny Harry this additional security that he's requested, it's their job to assess credible threats using intelligence the public doesn't have access to. And if they concluded Harry doesn't require the level of taxpayer-funded security he's demanding, I have to assume that decision was based on the best of it.
The trust between Meghan and the institution was badly damaged, and re-entering that environment without any groundwork laid to repair. That damage is a risk with very limited upside. Bauer has also made the observation that Meghan's relationship with the British media is so thoroughly poisoned at this point that the prospect of facing them again represents its own serious deterrent. According to him, Meghan has no interest in confronting the British press until her conditions have been fully met, conditions that currently show no sign of being met anytime soon. Right now, she is working to rebuild a public profile and commercial standing that has declined noticeably over recent years. Returning to Britain would almost certainly trigger another wave of relentlessly critical headlines that would do nothing to help the brand rehabilitation she is apparently focused on.
On the other hand, William, under no circumstances, in my opinion, would allow Harry to come back, and Meghan would be certainly stopped midway across the Atlantic.
The polling numbers tell a blunt story. Meghan has consistently ranked among the most unpopular public figures in surveys conducted across the UK. Her favorability numbers have not shown meaningful recovery. From a purely strategic perspective, a return visit under current circumstances would likely generate far more damaging coverage than positive attention. The environment simply isn't hospitable for her right now, and neither Meghan nor her team appear willing to walk into that storm without significantly better conditions than currently exist on the ground. It isn't only media hostility she would need to navigate. Public support for both Meghan and even the once genuinely beloved Prince Harry has fallen dramatically in Britain over recent years. The trajectory has been consistently downward. To avoid the real possibility of protests, uncomfortable public confrontations, or another exhausting and damaging media cycle, Meghan is reportedly choosing to remain in California while Harry makes the journey alone.
Insiders are describing her, as you know, quote, a dictator in high heels who terrifies staff and accusations of her belittling people. They constantly demand respect and privacy, but again, treat their own employees with zero respect and create a revolving door of allegedly terrified staff. So
the calculus of risk versus reward simply doesn't currently favor the trip. Bauer has also identified the accommodation question as a genuine sticking point in the planning. While reports have suggested King Charles might make some arrangement for Harry during his visit, that reportedly falls well short of what Meghan has in mind. She reportedly envisions a return to Britain that restores something of the relevance and platform she believes she has steadily lost since departing royal life.
And that, now I'm reconsidering bringing Meghan and the children, which we all know is just Harry and Meghan trying to manipulate the media and bully King Charles into a corner.
But that kind of restoration appears highly unlikely under current circumstances. Since losing Frogmore Cottage, Harry and Meghan have no official royal residence in Britain, no home base from which to operate, no palace backdrop for content creation, no official setting that would allow them to present themselves in the visual language of royalty. And royal critics are quick to point out that even if some accommodation had been arranged, William would never have tolerated Harry and Meghan using a royal palace as a filming location or image-building backdrop. That door is firmly closed. So, from Meghan's perspective, why endure the hostile media environment, the cold institutional reception, and the public scrutiny of a UK return if you cannot present yourself with the trappings and visual authority of royal life? The return would carry all the risks and deliver almost none of the rewards she would need to make it worthwhile from a brand perspective. Their major commercial ventures have compounded the strategic problem significantly. Netflix, Spotify, and Meghan's lifestyle brand have all performed considerably below early expectations. The financial position of the Sussex household has reportedly shifted from the days of seemingly unlimited commercial opportunity that characterized their early post-royal years in California.
And people on the whole are bored to death with her and her jam and her silly speeches and ridiculous shots on Instagram, and suddenly becomes an irritating irrelevance. And that is really, I think, in her darkest moments, her greatest fear. What happens when the show stops completely because the world is not interested?
The luxurious hotels and high-end accommodations that were previously standard are now said to be considerably harder to justify given the changed financial landscape. Every additional cost associated with a UK trip, private security, travel, accommodation, logistics, has to be measured against a budget that reportedly has far less flexibility than it once had. Meghan's reported decision to stay behind is also creating what many observers describe as a visible and increasingly defined practical separation in the priorities of two people who have publicly presented themselves as an inseparable unit. Harry appears genuinely motivated to maintain his connection to Britain, to support veterans through the Invictus Games as he has always done, and potentially to begin the long and difficult work of rebuilding at least some of the family relationships that were severed or severely damaged during the departure from royal life.
Well, there's a whole story about her attitude to people she works with, especially in a photo shoot about Reitman's, a sort of Marks & Spencer's chain store in Canada, where the experience for all the 80 crew was just horrendous. And there was two agents who told horrible stories about her bullying and her oppression. That was really quite a revelation. Her father...
Meghan, by contrast, appears focused on remaining in California with the children and continuing to pursue commercial opportunities that do not require engaging with the British public or press at this particular moment in time. Those are not the same set of priorities, and the divergence between them is becoming harder to paper over with joint statements and coordinated public appearances. Harry reportedly wants the opportunity to reconnect with the people and the place that shaped who he is.
Their problem is that they've got no future. I mean, as ever, all her products, of course, is a complete disaster. She's got no Netflix series. She hasn't got any project at all. And they are literally wallowing in sort of in a maze where to go. It's and so predictably. And so that is the problem. And for them to come back in the midst of the current royal crisis here.
Meghan, on the other hand, has reportedly made clear that she would return to Britain only when her specific conditions are satisfied. Those conditions: comprehensive taxpayer-funded security, appropriate accommodation befitting her view of her own status, and a media environment that she considers sufficiently respectful, currently show no sign of being met.
And as for the accommodation in a royal palace, well, we've got so many empty royal palaces at the moment. I don't think that's going to be a huge issue. The issue will only be if they allow themselves to be filmed and photographed as if they were members of the royal family. I think that is where the line's going to have to be drawn.
And for many watching this situation develop, those conditions look less like reasonable safety requirements and more like an impossible set of preconditions designed to justify indefinite absence, while allowing her to claim she would return if only things were different. The platform she hoped a UK return might provide simply doesn't exist in the form she imagined. Without an official role, without a palace residence, without institutional backing, and without the British public's goodwill, there is no stage on which the kind of comeback she reportedly envisioned could realistically play out. And without the ability to promote her lifestyle brand or media projects to a receptive audience, the commercial rationale for the trip evaporates entirely.
She never intended to stay in Britain, but just took the title. And in the end, what I really hold against her, she betrayed all those people who tried very hard, from the best of intentions, from the Queen downwards, to make her feel welcome and believe that she would integrate herself into the royal family, into Britain.
Staying away may genuinely be the strategically smarter move for Meghan right now, even if it comes with its own costs in terms of the narrative it creates about the state of their relationship and their future plans. But according to Tom Bauer, nobody should get too comfortable assuming this situation has reached any kind of stable equilibrium. He believes the timing may not be right for a return today, but that Harry and Meghan are steadily running out of road in California. Every commercial venture they have committed themselves to has underperformed or failed outright. The financial runway is shortening. The commercial opportunities are becoming harder to find and harder to monetize. Bauer believes this reality is precisely why Harry has been so visibly determined to preserve whatever remains of his relationship with the British royal family. Because somewhere beneath the public declarations of independence and the confident interviews, he understands that the United Kingdom may eventually be the only realistic place left to go when the California dream has finally exhausted itself completely. So here's the question worth sitting with. Will Harry and Meghan eventually find themselves effectively forced back to Britain when the American options have run out? Or will they continue finding ways to extend the California chapter indefinitely, no matter how much the circumstances around them deteriorate? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss what comes next in this story.